Greetings hunters. In today's video I want to go over my personal top 5 trick weapons in Bloodborne. And there are many different tools utilised by hunters, from the Kirk hammer to the rifle spear to other things as well, such as the hunter's axe. Now, I'm not saying that these are the best weapons in the game, the ones that I'm going to pick. These are just my personal 5 favourites. I haven't included any left-hand weapons on here, so pistols and blunderbusses, otherwise a lot of slots would be taken up and trick weapons would be left not by the wayside, but there would be less spaces for them, they'd get less of the spotlight. So in this video I just wanted to highlight some of my faves, whether it's in terms of how effective they are in combat, their power levels, or just how cool they are in terms of what the weapon transforms into. So without further ado, here is number 5. In the number 5 spot I have put the katana, the Chikage, in the number 5 slot. Now I've got a confession to make of this weapon. I only really acquired it recently when I first went to Castle Cainhurst, and I haven't really used it that much. The reason why I put it in the number 5 spot though is because it's just so frigging cool. It's a katana, katanas are frigging awesome. But it's the way that players have been using them. Obviously in normal against normal enemies and stuff, use it like any other weapon. It's got its trick weapon, things like that. But it's just how it's been used by players in the PvP scene is much cooler in my opinion. Players have been using it as a kind of dueling weapon, where I've seen videos of people who both have the Chikage, players treat it like an honourable duel, and the fact that this weapon can bring that out in other players is pretty awesome. Now coming to its utility, however, it's a strong, fast-hitting sword weapon. However, its trick weapon ability allows you to coat the blade in blood and wield it two-handed, dealing immense damage to your enemies. The only drawback to this is that your health slowly drains over the period of time to power the extra damage being done by by the double-handed version of the sword. However, it's a very useful trade-off, and as long as you can keep managing your health consumption and you don't use the weapon, the trick part of it too often, you got yourself a really effective, versatile weapon. In the number 4 spot is another vile blood weapon. It's the Reta Prolash, or the Gunblade. Again, I'm putting this on the list not necessarily because I use it a lot, but more generally just because of how cool the weapon is. However, I do know that it has got a very good utility, in that it's not only is it a fast-hitting, rapier weapon, it's a trick weapon part allows it to turn into a pistol. So you have that equipped with another weapon, you can essentially keep firing, dual-wield pistols. As well as that, in the middle of combos, its trick weapon combo allows you to fire a bullet, so you can be hitting an enemy and then stagger them halfway through your combo to get an extra visceral attack in. So whilst I haven't got too much to say about the Reta Prolash, I think it's a pretty awesome weapon with lots of utility. In the number 3 slot is the first weapon I actually ever used in Bloodborne, which is the Frayed Cane. I personally love the idea of the Frayed Cane in that it's a Victorian gentleman's cane, except as hunters need weapons, it's got a dual function. It functions as a blunt striking weapon, but the moment you utilise its trick weapon ability, it immediately turns into a razor-edged whip, which is very good for crowd control. When I first started playing, I used it to keep the big mob of enemies in the streets of central Yharnam under control, because it was a wide-hitting area of effect attack that did a decent bit of damage, and its power attack was good as well. On top of that, when it's in its normal cane form, its super attack, its charge attack, has got a good decent bit of range on it. It doesn't take too long to charge up, and it's pretty easy to cancel if you need to. Coming in at number 2 is the Saw Cleaver. The Saw Cleaver is kind of like the poster boy for trick weapons with Bloodborne. It's been in all the promotional materials, you see it in all the trailers. It's kind of like the trademark hunter's tool. I know you might call me a bit boring for putting it at the number 2 slot, but for me its utility can't be overlooked. I have managed to get through pretty much the entirety of the game using this weapon. It's incredibly balanced. Its trick weapon ability, where you can essentially extend its length, giving it a lot of decent air effect attacks as well as increasing its range, makes it an incredibly versatile weapon. When it's in its normal mode, it's a quick hitting, I guess, hatchet slash sword kind of weapon, really. I don't really know what to call it when it's in its normal mode. And then of course when you extend it, it becomes like a long range sword weapon, which is really good for just DPSing down enemy health. You can get an insane amount of damage over time done with this weapon. It's just such an effective tool. And the fact that it looks like an old-fashioned Victorian razor, if it was weaponized and turned into a giant beast hunting tool, is just the cherry on top for me. Coming in at the top is the Blade of Mercy. This is my personal favourite trick weapon for a variety of reasons, mainly for all the different reasons that all the other weapons are on the list. In terms of its utility, it's a very useful short sword that, when you activate its trick ability, turns into two twin daggers. The drawback to that is, of course, that because it's technically a two-handed weapon by that point, you can't use your range weapon. However, the trade-off is that the normal firing button allows you to do a dodge backwards, which does 2 slashes. As well as that, its trick transformation abilities between dual blades and short sword do a decent amount of damage, and it's got a few good quick rolling and dodging attacks as well. But also, the reason why I absolutely love it is it's just the fact that it's a short sword that when you pull it in half, it transforms into 2 short swords, into 2 daggers. I absolutely love that. And whilst I don't use it as much as I do the sword cleaver, because I found the sword cleaver to be a more effective weapon for its utility, I do love the Blade of Mercy. Well, that's it for this video, I'm afraid. In the future I may do a video on my top 5 ranged weapons. But until that video, I hope you enjoyed. See you in the next one.